right, this is part two of college recruiting for track and field athletes. I went over a bunch of different advice on Instagram, about 18 total, and I'm just now using YouTube to create a longer format of those advice. I already covered 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I covered 9 already out of 18 on the previous video on part 1. And this is probably going to cover honestly only 5 maybe, because of time. I just don't want to make this video too long. But yeah, about myself, I've been coaching for 19 years, and then 12 of those years at the collegiate level and 5 at the Division I level. So I spent a lot of time recruiting athletes and spent a lot of time getting my athletes recruited. So sharing some of my experience with you guys. Again, like I said on the last video, you know, this isn't like, oh, you're supposed to do this, you have to do it the way I said it. Like, no, there's different ways, different approaches, different philosophies. Some coaches, you know, focus more on, you know, the training and da-da-da-da. I focus more on the experience. And you know, as much as I love track and field and all that, you know, I've been doing it so long, I definitely love the sport at the same time. With the recruiting process, it's to make sure that your future is the number one thing. That's for me, you know, that's technically advice number 19 right there. Your future is the main thing, and that's just my philosophy. Some coaches, you know, their mindset is more about getting the best performance out of you and everything like that. So I'm talking about like high school coaches trying to get their kid off to college. You know, like a lot of those high school coaches, I think overemphasize how fast you're gonna get in college. And to me, it's like, that's very important, and but it doesn't outweigh making sure that you have a good experience and you know, leaving with a degree and a degree that you actually want to get. You know what, that's gonna be advice. I'm gonna follow up on that thing. I'm gonna stop there with that and make that an actual point. Let's get started with the stuff that I actually have written down. So advice number 1 on this video would be to act right on visits. So if you have an official visit, whether it be an unofficial or official, if it's unofficial, that's basically meaning that it's kind of on your own time, on your own dollar. And an official visit is more, you know, it's under their schedule / they're paying for most of the stuff, at least with you, and then the athlete and the parent gets like food and stuff taken care of. But for the athlete, the lodging and food and events and stuff like that are taken care of by the program. So either way, if you're on an unofficial or official visit, to act right. And the reason why I say this is because there's been many visits that I brought athletes on, and they were outstanding. You know, they very polite, great questions. They're very curious about the program and our training, and they were also had a lot of academic questions. So it shows that they really care about their experience as a student athlete, you know, student and athlete. But then there's been athletes that came on visits and they want to ask about parties and where's the clubs at, and you know, oh, does that fraternity host more parties? Like, man, she's asking way more questions about fun than she's asking about getting the work done, you know, whether it's on the track or in the classroom. And then even if it's not said in front of me or the recruiting coaches, you know, stuff said in private to a student host or to just student athletes. You know, like when a student host takes an athlete or recruit, you know, somewhere to hang out with a bunch of other student athletes, they're all listening and hearing what you're saying. So if it's kind of reflecting that you as a student athlete or the recruit care more about just the fun and they're not that serious about the sport, the athlete's gonna go back and tell the coach. So, you know, you gotta make sure that you know, the way you act is on point. Let me see if that's tied into anything else. Yeah, and with that, you know, if you have a hard time doing that, and I kind of mentioned this on the last video, if you have a hard time acting right, like your mindset's just going like, I could care less about track, I just want to, you know, party, I want to do this and that, and you kind of have to reevaluate if you actually want to run track, because it's gonna be 4 years of that, like especially if it's at a school that they're giving you a scholarship, and you decide to go to that school on a scholarship, and halfway through your, not even halfway, maybe halfway through your freshman year, you just like, man, I'm over this and stuff like that. If you quit, they take away your scholarship, you know. So like, and now you got to basically figure out how to stay, you know, in school and pay for your own tuition, this and that, when you weren't planning on doing that. So, you know, you gotta really think it through before you commit somewhere, because it is a job. Track and field, sports in general, is a job at the collegiate level. It's a great job because you're getting paid to do a sport that you love, and to train, and to be fit, and to compete, and to be with a you know, a program that's going to support you and all that stuff through your college experience, and to have teammates that are going to be lifelong friends and all that. It's a great experience. It shouldn't to be taken for granted. But yeah, if you aren't truly into it, sorry, technically this is another advice. So if you're not really truly passionate about the sport, you kind of have to rethink it, of being a scholarship athlete or getting recruited, because it's like getting married. In many ways, it kind of is like you're going into a 4-year, 5-year marriage, you know. And I've seen, sorry, this is a totally another piece of advice that's branching off from this acting right on your visits. But what is it? I've seen athletes where they don't really want to be part of the program anymore, and it's not because of the coaches, they just don't like track, maybe at all, and they were just really talented, and they just got, you know, sucked into competing and then recruiting, and then eventually now they're in college. And I've seen a bunch of athletes get injured and stay injured for years and years, and everyone's like, man, she's still hurt. That girl, like, I thought it was her ankle, I thought it was her hamstring, I thought it was her, like, yeah. And like, you know, once they resolved her hip flexor, now she's saying her back hurts. So basically they played an injured card just because they really don't want to go out there. And that is a shady way to go to technically keep your scholarship, be, you know, continue to absorb the benefits of the program, and, you know, obviously continue being at school. You know, that's kind of messed up. You're holding a scholarship, holding a spot on a team, and you're not really contributing, and you're just faking an injury. But that's a route that some people go because they just don't want to do it anymore, but they can't say no. And so it's just like, that's a tough route to go for anybody, you know, for someone to just fake an injury every day. And again, I'm not trying to be mean about, you know, oh, she's faking injury, or he's faking injury because he don't want to go live. But like, I get some athletes get stuck in this situation where it's like, dang, I can't transfer, and I really don't want to go out there and compete. You know, they're stuck. So then they feel some pain in their back. You know, I'm hurt. Yeah, I'm hurt. Yeah, I can't run. And they just go that route, and it's really frustrating as a coach, but I'm pretty sure it's equally as frustrating as a recruit to have to go through that process. I hope they're not just being, you know, I hope they feel some sort of frustration with that process, but because it does totally take up money in a spot. Anyways, that's a totally different tangent, and my bad, that took up like 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm not editing any of this stuff because I hate editing. So hopefully all that stuff that I just said was useful to you. Anyways, another piece, another advice that isn't off topic is financial aid to complete it. Did I already go over that? No, I already went over that in the last video. Sorry. I already went over in that last video. I guess the next point I want to make is, don't compare yourself to others on the roster. You gotta compare yourself to the conference. Sorry, I keep looking at the camera. I keep looking at myself on the screen. So this is probably the only point. The last tip. Maybe I could give one more tip in this video. I meant to do 6 or whatever, or 5. It's probably only be 2 or 3, because I'm throwing in all this extra stuff. But don't compare yourself to the team roster. Compare yourself to the athletes in the conference in regards to getting a spot on a team and scholarship. So let's say you're in a recruiting process, and now the coach is interested in you, and they're talking. You guys are talking about scholarships, and you guys are talking about where you could fit in on a team. What you do not want to do as a recruit is to now compare yourself to the athletes that are on the team and say, well, technically I'm the best, blah, 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 so therefore, hint, hint, I should be on a full scholarship if I'm the fastest 400-meter runner on the team. I'm the best triple jumper on the team. Like you can go ahead and do that all you want, but it's not a good look. It's not something that's gonna be in your favor to say, for you to compare yourself to the coach's athletes and say, I'm better than your athletes, therefore if she's on a 80% scholarship, then I gotta be on a 100% scholarship. Because you don't know all the context and stuff what happened. This might be a brand new coach to the program, so he didn't recruit these athletes, he didn't train these athletes over here, he just took over the program, or for the sprint side or whatever side of the program he or she took over, and they're trying to rebuild the program, they're trying to improve the program. So they understand that maybe their athletes aren't at the caliber that they should be at, and now they're trying to go through the process of bringing on better athletes. But those athletes need to be competitive in the conference, not just better than the athletes that are on the team, but they got to actually be better competitive in the conference. Meaning what I was saying for this tip was, compare yourself to athletes in the conference, athletes that this school is going to compete against at conference meet. So let's say, hypothetically, if you're a 100-meter runner, fastest 100-meter runner on that team that you're being recruited by is maybe 12 flat, right? It's not all that fast, and you run, say, 11.8, okay? You can't compare yourself to the athletes on a team and say, like, oh, because I'm 11.8 and everyone's, slower than me, I'm on a full. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, it can work that way, but ideally you shouldn't compare yourself to the athletes that are on the team. What you should be doing is, okay, this team's conference championships, the fastest time was 11.28. Second place was 11.35. Eighth place, the eighth place finisher was, say, 11.72 or something like that. I'm just throwing out random numbers. That means you would not have scored or got into the finals at the conference meet. Meaning that you can get a scholarship. You could get a partial scholarship, but it's not going to be a big scholarship because you are someone that probably wouldn't have scored, right? So you're basing yourself off of what you currently do. You can't use potential, and how you would compare against that conference. That's how you should do it. Because does that make sense? Okay, I don't want to go over that too much longer because we're at 13 minutes in. And let's see if so along with that, I can make my final point, which is your scholarship value. And that's how you figure out what your scholarship worth is, not compared to your conference. Not compared to your potential teammates at the program. You compare yourself to the conference. So if you can win conference, I know if you're a senior in high school and you're getting recruited by so-and-so school, if you went to so-and-so school and competed at the conference meet, could you win? Or could you at least possibly get second or third place? If you can, then you might be close to a full scholarship, maybe 80% and higher, or something like that. And it depends on how much money they have left. And that's something I could go over in a different video. But if you would place, top 4, 5, and 6, you might get somewhere in, it's still a big scholarship, but probably in the 50% in the higher range, right? And if you're finishing kind of towards last, 6, 7, 8, 9, or something like that at the conference meet, then you might be someone that's around the half scholarship, or maybe possibly a little bit lower, possibly a little bit higher, depending on kind of how, you know, desperate the school might be to bring on someone with your talent. So so yeah, and then if you're someone that probably will qualify to compete at the conference meet, but most likely won't make it into the conference finals, then that's just up to the school. Because again, every school is going to be different. You might get as much as a half scholarship, possibly even more, but most likely you're going to be somewhere in the lower scholarship range. You know, books, you know, like maybe some fees, like maybe a small percentage, like 20 or 30% or something like that. Or at some schools, it's so competitive, you might just be offered a walk-on spot. So, but that's how you figure out your scholarship value. You compare yourself to the conference that you're competing. And again, if you look, different SEC is going to be way faster typically than the Big West or Mountain West Conference. You know, so just because you're offered, you know, a full scholarship at a SEC, at a Big West Conference, or a Mountain West Conference, or a Big Sky Conference, you're offered a full scholarship. If you talk to an SEC school or a Big 12 school, you know, they might offer you half, or they might they might offer you a walk-on spot. You know, so it's every conference is different. Some are more competitive and some are way less competitive. So sometimes your endeavors are like, I want to compete at a Power 5 school, but yeah, you might not get any money. But if you compete at a much smaller conference that's still competitive and still has a lot of talent, but then now you might be a 60-80% scholarship kid, you know. So like, keep that in mind. Sometimes you won't get the dream school that you want just because you won't get the money that you want from them, and you'll get the money that you want from somewhere else. That brings up another topic about not chasing money and stuff like that. That's another video. Anyways, that's it. Just 3 points today with like three other, technically like 6 points I made. 3 that were not planned. But anyways, sorry about the longer video than intended. Hopefully this helps you guys. You can always hit me up on my Instagram and this and that. Like I got my social media, my contact information somewhere, so you can always hit me up. Obviously, comment and stuff like that. And like and subscribe. I'm always supposed to say that in the beginning, but I never say that because I don't really care. But if you could like and subscribe, I do care to some degree. But yeah, hope this helps. I'm sorry for not editing anything because I be lazy. Thank you. Bye-bye.